Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor, where Roger and I have returned for that spellbinding program, the Book of the Week, where I just take some random book that's lying around here at the manor and talk about it. And today's book's really cool because it's all about one of my favorite literary characters, and that would be Tarzan. Tarzan. I love Tarzan from the books. So this is Tarzan, the Centennial celebration, the stories, the movies, the art. And this book does have a lot of fantastic art, reproduced in a generous size, because this is a good sized book. This was written by Tracy Griffin, has a cover that was originally the paperback cover to Return of Tarzan, illustrated by the great Neil Adams. Neil Adams, who is a famous comic book artist, did a lot of covers for Tarzan. And this book is great. Published back in 2012 when Tarzan was 100 years old. 2012, that seems like a long time ago now. So this book was found for me by Steve Donahue. Steve Donahue stumbled across this at the Brattle bookstore, the wonderful Brattle bookstore in Boston. And Steve Donahue, who used to be on BookTube, there is a legend that he will return when the world needs him most. We'll see. Anyway, Steve stumbled across this book and he said, this is the kind of thing my dopey friend Mike would like. And so he picked it up for me and sent it my way because he's a nice fella. And it's great. This book is great. Full of all kinds of information about Tarzan, the original Tarzan novels and stories, as well as the movies. I first discovered Tarzan, like I think most kids, through the films. When I was a kid, they would replay the movies every weekend. Every Saturday, Tarzan was on. Some old Tarzan movie, usually with Johnny Weissmuller. And I was never really that interested when I was a little kid, because Tarzan just seemed like some big naked guy running through the woods, running through the jungle. He didn't seem to have any superpowers. He didn't even have a costume. He was just naked. I don't know. I thought, what's the appeal? But later on, when I got a little bit older, I started getting really into science fiction. I learned about the Mars stories by Edgar Rice Burroughs, the Mars novels. I found those and read all of those, and thought, Edgar Rice Burroughs, he's a great writer. I mean, his Tarzan books must be all right. So I picked them up, and they are definitely awesome. So I became a big Tarzan fan, and this is a lovely book all about Tarzan. So let's open it up. First, we've got some information on Edgar Rice Burroughs. We've got Edgar Rice Burroughs, the early years. And it's really cool because this book has so many great photographs. I mean, the artwork in this book is magnificent. So if you're a fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs and Tarzan, definitely worth hunting down this book. We've got some information on the early writings of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Some background information on the world of 1912. There's the very first appearance of Tarzan in an illustration, this cover for the All Story magazine, which is where Tarzan first appeared, Tarzan of the Apes. Great cover. That's a great cover. Still one of the best Tarzan covers. And then the book goes into information on all of the Tarzan novels and stories, starting with, of course, Tarzan of the Apes. There's another Neil Adams cover. That was the Neil Adams cover for the original Tarzan of the Apes, of course. So many great illustrations in this book. A lot of illustrations that I've either never seen or have only seen on battered old paperbacks. Here's some of the comic book covers. Some of those are in here. There's actually a whole section on Tarzan as a newspaper strip character and a comic book character. Here's The Return of Tarzan, my personal favorite novel of the series. And I don't think I had ever seen that illustration before. That's from the Gold Key Comics adaptation by George Wilson. So that's pretty cool. And this book is just full of stuff like that. We've got The Son of Tarzan, which was a literary masterpiece. Shockingly, it's still not considered by the, literary establishment to be the masterpiece of literature that it is. But yes, The Son of Tarzan is fantastic. We've got a Frank Frazetta cover over there for that. So yeah, this goes into the background on... There's the Neil Adams version of The Son of Tarzan. The Son of Tarzan in the books, very different from the Son of Tarzan in the movies. That's for sure. Korak the Killer. In fact, this has a whole story on Korak or Boy about the differences between the characters. Yeah, they're very different characters. This dust jacket is slipping all over the place. I'm just going to take that off. It looks pretty cool without the dust jacket anyway. And skip ahead a little bit. I mean, it's just, there's Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar. All kinds of great illustrations. We have a feature here on Jane, the character of Jane, who was actually became kind of a badass in the books. She was a lot tougher in the books than she tended to be in the films, I think. And there's a Joe Jusko illustration. Joe Jusko, who did a lot of illustrations for Edgar Rice Burroughs, and he continues to, actually. And Tarzan the Terrible, great Boris Vallejo cover there, just beautiful. So yeah, this pretty much has every Tarzan cover. Tarzan and the Lost Empire, another great Boris Vallejo cover there. And has a feature here on the Waziri, which is the African tribe that Tarzan joins in the Return of Tarzan, and they remain his friends and allies throughout the Tarzan series. So that's really cool. Some information on the Waziri, Tarzan at Earth's core. Tarzan went to the center of the Earth. This was Edgar Rice Burroughs' big crossover. This was a crossover story that merged the two series, the Tarzan series and At the Earth's Core, the Pellucidar series. So it's just great. Like I said, it's just full of illustrations, page after page after page of great illustrations of Tarzan, sourced from the paperback books, comic books, everything. Here's the femme fatales of Tarzan. Of course, the main one being Law of Opar. Tarzan and the Lion Man, Tarzan's Quest. Here we have Tarzan Immortal. So Tarzan does become immortal. Yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs, he didn't want his characters to age like normal human beings. He wanted them just to go on. And so he had to make Tarzan immortal. And he actually did it twice. Tarzan's double immortal, and so is Jane. So they just live forever. Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan in the Forbidden City. There's a story about the many head injuries of Tarzan and how Tarzan keeps forgetting who he is. He had a tough life. And a little section on the children's stories of Tarzan. And how to speak ape. This is very valuable information, how to speak ape. You should probably photocopy these pages and carry them with you if you ever go to an area where there are apes, so you can speak to them. You got to be prepared. This is probably the most awesome thing in the book. This is Tarzan's Africa. This is a map of Tarzan's very mythical Africa from the stories, which shows where all of the lost cities are and where all the action in the Tarzan stories takes place. Of course, this is very different from the actual Africa, which is nothing like the Africa that Tarzan lives in. But this is fun. It'll answer those questions. Like, well, you run into a hidden city every week. Where are all these places? You have some of Tarzan's. We have some of Edgar Rice Burroughs' original notes and illustrations for the Tarzan series in here. That is really cool. And then we have a section on the comic books. Look at this. Just awesome illustrations. And this shows, actually, there's a couple of the Marvel comics, the underrated Marvel comics, that have never been reprinted, actually. And that's too bad, because those were great. Somebody ought to reprint those one of these days. So, yeah, it's just full of illustrations. And then eventually we get to the films. So we start off here with the silent films, the silent Tarzan movies, which you can get on YouTube. You know, you could leave here and just go watch old Tarzan movies if you want. So, yeah, cool stuff. And then we get to the Johnny Weissmuller era, who is the guy that everybody thinks of when they think of Tarzan. At least it was that way for a long time. Not so much anymore. I think now, when people think of Tarzan, they probably think of the Disney Tarzan. But this book shows all of the Tarzans and talks a little bit about the Tarzan films, the different eras of the Tarzan movies. Many different eras of Tarzan movies. I don't even know how many Tarzan films there are. I mean, there have got to be so many. So yeah, Walt Disney's Tarzan. I think for a lot of people, this was their first exposure to Tarzan, was the Walt Disney Tarzan. Which, you know, wasn't bad for a Walt Disney movie. Wasn't exactly Tarzan, though. And, of course, we have Tarzan on television. Tarzan's been on TV a lot. In all kinds of different Tarzan series. We've got, I don't know, does anybody remember Tarzan, the Epic Adventures from the 90s, which is sort of like the Tarzan version of Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess? It was a little more faithful to the books, actually, than a lot of Tarzans, but it was still pretty terrible in a lot of ways. It was low-budget fun, but yeah. Tarzan, the Epic Adventures. I actually probably saw every episode of that. Probably. So yeah, this is just full of all kinds of Tarzan information. It's awesome. If you like Tarzan, certainly worth hunting down. Thanks again, Steve Donahue, for sending me that book. And I guess I'll shut up now. So yeah, that was my book of the week. Catch me next time.